All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tearing up the old management rulebook, thanks to some powerful ideas from Ken Blanchard. We're going to explore a completely different way to run a business, one that's designed to create not just profits, but passionate employees and customers who are true raving fans.
So let's just kick things off with a huge and maybe controversial question. For about a century, if you asked anyone in a boardroom why they're in business, the answer was always the same: to make money. Period. But what if I told you that this single-minded focus on profit is actually what's holding so many companies back? What if it's the reason so many of us feel uninspired at work, and why so many customers just walk away? It's time to talk about a different way forward. So, before we can build this new model, we have to really understand the old one we're trying to replace. Let's call it the failing management playbook. It's that classic top-down hierarchy that, let's be honest, many of us have experienced firsthand, and its consequences are probably more damaging than you even realize.
Do you know this old model? It's all about the pyramid. Everything flows up, with everyone just trying to please the person above them. In this world, employees are basically treated like cogs in a machine. Their job is to follow orders, not to think, not to innovate. The only thing that matters is hitting the numbers. And all that human stuff, morale, passion, job satisfaction, that's all seen as a distraction, not an asset.
This quote right here, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's from a real-life situation in a department store. A customer asks to use the phone, and the salesperson, who is clearly not treated well by their own managers, just passes that negativity right along. It's such a powerful reminder that you simply cannot treat your people poorly and then expect them to turn around and treat your customers well. The internal culture always leaks out. And here's the real kicker. This isn't just some feel-good issue about being nice. This is a fundamental business problem. When your employees are disengaged, it leads directly to unhappy customers. And that, of course, hurts your sales, it damages your reputation, and it threatens your very survival. So the old playbook isn't just bad for people, it's just plain bad for business. Okay, so if the old way is so broken, how do we fix it? Well, this brings us to the first huge game-changing shift. We have to move from a narrow focus on profit to a much bigger, more inspiring sense of purpose. This is about completely changing the organization's entire reason for being. This is the foundation of everything. A compelling vision isn't just some fluffy mission statement that you hang on a wall and forget about. No, it's a real strategic tool, and it has three key parts. It answers the biggest questions. Why do we even exist? What does success really look like for us? And how are we going to act to get there? So let's break that down real quick. First, you need your why. Your reason for being that goes way beyond just making a profit. Second, you need a crystal clear picture of the future. Something tangible that people can actually see in their minds. And third, you need values. These are your compass, the rules of the road that guide every single decision you make along the way.
And a perfect example of this is Walt Disney. He knew his company's purpose wasn't just about building rides or selling tickets. He was in the happiness business. And that simple, incredibly powerful idea drove everything. It dictated how the park was kept clean, how every cast member greeted a guest, everything. That's a purpose that people can truly get behind.
Now, this brings us to our second big shift, and this one is pretty radical. It's the idea of inverting the pyramid. We're not just talking about a small tweak here. This is about completely flipping the entire power structure of an organization on its head.
This is the absolute core of what's known as servant leadership. Instead of employees existing to serve their managers, the role of a leader becomes to serve the employees. The people on the front lines, the ones talking to customers every single day, they're the ones who are elevated to the top of the pyramid. And the CEO? They're at the bottom, holding the whole thing up and making sure everyone has what they need to succeed.
You can actually see this shift in the language people start to use. That old top-down planning becomes a much more collaborative visioning. Managers stop monitoring their people because employees start self-monitoring their own progress. The whole mind shift shifts from a passive, just do as you're told, to an empowered and active, own your own job. It changes everything.
All right, our third and final big shift, moving from judging to partnering. So, we've redefined our purpose, we've flipped our structure, now it's time to change how leaders and their teams actually work together day in and day out. This is such a powerful idea, and it's the heart of what's called situational leadership. Basically, it means that treating everyone exactly the same is actually the most unfair thing you can do. Think about it.
A brand new employee needs a lot more direction and coaching, right? But a seasoned expert, they probably just need you to get out of their way and give them support. Great leaders know how to adapt their style to the person and the task at hand.
So the manager's job completely changes. You're no longer the critic who just grades someone's performance at the end of the year. Instead, you're a coach. You're in the trenches with your people from day one, actively helping them succeed. The goal isn't to catch people making mistakes, it's to partner with them to help them achieve greatness.
Okay, so what happens when you actually make these three huge shifts? You move from profit to purpose, from controlling to serving, and from judging to partnering? Well, the result is something pretty profound. You create what's called a high-performing organization.
This is the ultimate prize, the triple bottom line. First, you become the provider of choice, because your happy, empowered employees create customers who are more than just loyal, they're raving fans. Second, you become the employer of choice, because all the best people want to work in a place with a real purpose, where they're respected. And because of those first two, you naturally become the investment of choice, achieving real, sustainable, long-term success. All right, so we've covered some really big ideas. But now let's bring this home and make it personal. It's your turn to define your own leadership point of view. Because these principles aren't just for the CEOs of giant corporations. They apply to anyone who leads a team, a project, or hey, even just themselves. Let's start with the foundation. What really truly matters to you? What are the lines you won't cross? Is it integrity, creativity, service, excellence? Just taking a moment to name your core values is the first step to leading with real intention.
And then there's clarity. Leadership is a partnership. It's a two-way street. Your team, or anyone you work with, needs to know what they can count on from you. Is it support, honesty, clear direction? And at the same time, you have to be crystal clear about what you expect from them. Initiative, collaboration, commitment. It's this two-way clarity that builds real trust.
And I want to leave you with this final thought, a quote that just wraps this whole philosophy up so perfectly. True leadership isn't about being in the spotlight or taking all the credit. It's about empowering other people to achieve things they didn't think were possible. It's about creating an environment where people feel so supported and trusted that they do incredible work and feel a true sense of ownership over it. That, right there, is the essence of leading at a higher level.